we've got the FAA has appointed a committee for mental health. This is good news.
That is good.
Shall I read?
Yes, please.
The Federal Aviation Administration will establish a pilot mental health aviation rulemaking committee to provide recommendations on breaking down barriers that prevent pilots from reporting mental health issues to the agency. Mental health care has made great strides in recent years, starting like 1980, and we want to make sure the FAA is considering those advances when we evaluate the health of pilots, said FAA Administrator Mike Whitaker. Going to focus on increasing mental health training for medical examiners, supporting industry-wide research and clinical studies on pilot mental health, hiring additional mental health professionals to expand in-house expertise, completed clinical research and amended policy to decrease the frequency of cognitive testing in pilots using antidepressant medications, and increasing outreach to educate pilots on resources available. Yep. There you go.
I think that's great. It's a step, although it's the government, so moving at the speed of government and the bureaucracy that follows, but at least they're looking into it. And the reason...
Sorry. No, I was just going to say, like, who's going to be the first to press the test on that?
Well, there's the other part, too. And that's the problem they run into. A friend of mine was talking about doing studies, and it's like, how do you get a pilot to be honest?
Yeah.
How do you get a pilot to go,
how do you get a volunteer?
You.
Right.
I trust you with my certificate, because that's the problem right now. And even though they're going to say, well, here's immunity, nothing you say here, people are still going to go, I don't want to. So the data sets are going to be off.
Kind of reminds me of like SEER school when they're riding around the trucks shooting their AKs. We are your friends.
Yeah.
It's like, come on out. Like,
yeah.
Like, wait, it's a trap.
So I think that story, thanks, Doug. You can kill that. Oh, look, there's a podcast. Yeah. On that, along those same lines, there's a recent story. I pulled it up while we were waiting. So a Delta first officer threatened to shoot a captain in flight. Yeah, this happened. On October 18th,
CRM.
2023, a grand jury in the U.S. District Court for the District of Utah indicted Jonathan Dunn. I don't know why there's a there. For interfering with the crew of a commercial flight. Dunn was a first officer with Delta and a member of the Transportation Security Administration's Federal Flight Deck Officer Program, meaning he was authorized to carry a firearm. Unfortunately, on a Delta flight on August 22nd, 2022, so about a year ago, over a year ago now, that gun wasn't exactly used as intended. After a disagreement between the captain and first officer about a possible diversion due to a medical issue of a passenger, Dunn pulled a gun on the captain and said he would shoot him multiple times if he chose to divert the flight. Those are all the details we have about the incident so far. The TSA has confirmed that Dunn has been removed from the FFDO program. God, I guess so, huh? While Delta has confirmed that he's no longer employed by the airline, but the airline is refraining from commenting on this matter out of respect for the ongoing Aviation Authority investigation. The specific route of the flight hasn't been revealed, but it's not clear if the flight did end up diverting or not. Interfering with a flight crew is a felony that's punishable by 20 years in prison. And then they go on to say, what on earth is wrong with people? They have thousands of lives in hand. I don't really care what this person has to say about that. So, Gonky, you have the aircraft.
But we're going to shoot you multiple times if you don't go where we want.
Yeah. So here's the situation. You're flying, you want to divert, but your FO says, I'll kill you.
Well, I mean,
you have the aircraft.
Dude, the captain is responsible for those
captain's
kind of
authority.
Right. Captain's authority. That's what he gets paid the big bucks for. And
it's true.
You guys talk about it. And if you feel strongly about, hey, I think we should go here, then you voice those concerns. But, bringing lethal force into the equation seems way overkill. I mean, the whole idea, I get it. His jurisdiction is in that cockpit. But it's not to force his will on basic aviating, So I think
he must have had a girlfriend in Utah. He had to get back to something. There was some reason he didn't want to divert.
You better have more than a girlfriend in Utah, man. At this point.
Well, it is the land of multiple girlfriends.
Dude, overall, extremely poor head work. I mean, that's putting it.
No, that's mental health.
Right.
No, we're in the I'm pulling the fire handles level of mental health. There's no.
We're missing part of the story, man. There's something else.
Well, so I read somewhere else. I mean, I might have pulled the wrong article where it basically, they're talking about this diversion, and then he goes, if we go down there, I'll shoot you. And he thought it was a joke. The captain's like, haha, funny. He's like, no, seriously, this is my safety, and he's gonna. But I cannot imagine from that point how you proceed.
Right.
Like how, because you still have to do all the crew, below 240, drop the gear, drop the flaps. Like you still have to coordinate all this stuff.
He's like, am I still the captain, or are you the captain now? Like,
right.
Because we're doing what you want to do.
Now you're essentially, you've been hijacked.
Yeah, 100%.
You are no longer a crew. You are under duress. So how do you proceed knowing that the other crew member has now tipped their hand and is crazy? And follow-up question, what happens in this fictional scenario where both pilots are armed?
We have a shootout at the OK Corral, dude. That's what we do.
Yeah, is this justified now? I mean, who's got the bigger hat?
Well, you would hope in that scenario, one of them would be cool enough to be like, all right, we'll go to Utah.
Do they teach de-escalation techniques at this school?
I don't know. I haven't done the FFDO stuff.
That's amazing to me.
But de-escalation is part of like basic
CRM
coordination. Yeah. I mean, like we're taught some of that. Yeah.
Yeah. Ooh, that captain earned his money that day.
He probably pay protected for the rest of that trip.
but then there's the other side of this too, is was it what they said?
Right.
Was it a joke that went wrong?
Do we have the whole story?
Right. Because there's two ways this could have gone, right? It could have gone exactly as they said, which is he threatened him, said, I'll shoot you. Credible threat. They got back. He told law enforcement, the guy gets arrested, right? That's one way this went. The other way this went was guy makes an offhanded joke.
Took it the wrong way. They continue as a crew. No one ever hears about this until the captain gets back and says, hey, that guy said that. And they go, he said what? And then they go arrest him. Right. And now they're pursuing charges. Both scenarios are bad for the FO. I'm not justifying what he did. What I'm saying is one scenario is very dramatic and pretty much an airborne hijacking. And one scenario is, the dude's kind of a dumbass, but he's never going to fly again. That's two different things to me. Yeah, no, like you said, one scenario is potential German wings kind of catastrophe.
Right.
And the other scenario is it's a bad joke. You're an idiot. Right.
You shouldn't be joking like that because, and that has happened. I think it was in Australia recently where, the guy pulls his gun. It was don't spoil something. The guy's like, oh, it's Top Gun Maverick. That's why I was reading it. So a Australian law enforcement officer pulled his gun and said, I'll shoot you if you spoil Top Gun Maverick, because he hadn't seen it and his coworkers were joking. But that was a joke. It was just a really, really terrible joke, which never joke with firearms, people.
No, dude.
This is never joke with firearms. Don't say bomb on an airplane. No. Don't joke about anything that can kill a whole bunch of people in a short amount of time. Just don't make, even dark humor. There's no reason for that. But what I am saying is sometimes people are stupid. And even at the highest levels of aviation, we have dealt with stupid people.
Oh yeah.
And I just wonder, I just wonder what level it was. Cause there's always the three sides to every story.
Yep.
What is the actual truth? And the only way, I'm sure they pulled the CVR, cockpit voice recorder.
Yep.